Have you ever noticed something strange about your mind? A compliment someone gave you last week, you can barely remember it. But that embarrassing moment from 5 years ago, your brain can replay it perfectly. Every detail, every word, every awkward second. It almost feels like your mind wants to remember the bad things. But why? Why does our brain hold on to negative thoughts so tightly? And why is it so hard to let them go? The answer is something psychologists call negativity bias. This means your brain gives more attention to negative experiences than positive ones. To understand this deeply, we need to go back thousands of years. Long before cities, jobs, or smartphones existed, humans lived in forests and open lands. Life was simple, but it was also dangerous. Imagine a man walking through tall grass. Suddenly, he hears a rustle in the bushes. Now, two things could be happening. Maybe it's just the wind, or maybe it's a tiger. If he ignores the sound and it turns out to be the wind, nothing happens. But if he ignores the sound and it turns out to be a tiger, that mistake could cost him his life. So what did the human brain learn? It learned to always assume the worst. It learned to focus on danger first, because noticing danger meant survival. And over thousands of years, this survival system became deeply wired into the human brain. The people who paid attention to threats were the ones who stayed alive longer. They were the ones who made it back to their families. They were the ones who passed their genes, their instincts, and their survival patterns to the next generation. Slowly, generation after generation, the human brain became extremely good at spotting danger. Even today, your brain still uses the same ancient system, but the problem is the dangers have changed. Today, we are usually not running from wild animals. Instead, the brain treats things like criticism, embarrassment, rejection, or mistakes as if they were threats to survival. A harsh comment can feel like an attack. An awkward moment can feel like real danger. That is why a small negative comment can stay in your mind for days. Your brain thinks it is protecting you. Let's say 10 people say something nice about you, and one person criticizes you. Which one stays in your mind? Usually the criticism. You might replay it again and again. What did they mean by that? Did I look stupid? Why did I say that? Meanwhile, the compliments quietly disappear. Sometimes stories help us understand things better. So let me tell you a story about a young man who lived in a small town. He worked at a company where one day he was asked to give a presentation. This presentation was important to him. He wanted to do well, so he spent days preparing. He practiced in front of the mirror. He practiced while walking around the house. He practiced until every sentence felt memorized. Finally, the day arrived. He stood in front of his coworkers and began speaking. At first, everything went smoothly. His voice was steady. His slides looked good. Then, suddenly, something unexpected happened. He forgot one sentence. Just one. For a few seconds, he froze. His mind went blank. The room felt very quiet. But after a moment, he collected himself and continued speaking. He finished the presentation and sat down. Later that day, something interesting happened. Several coworkers came up to him. One said, "Great job." Another said, "That presentation was really clear."
Another smiled and said, "You explained that topic better than anyone else." But when the young man went home that evening, his brain didn't remember the compliments. Instead, his mind replayed the moment he forgot the sentence again and again. Why did I forget that line? That must have looked so awkward. Everyone probably noticed. For days, the memory stayed with him. Then weeks passed. Still, the same thought returned. Months later, he was still thinking about it. One day, he told a friend about the whole experience. His friend listened quietly and then asked a simple question. "Do you remember what you ate for lunch that day?" The young man paused and thought. Then he said, "No, I don't." His friend smiled. "Exactly. You forgot lunch from the same day, but your brain kept the embarrassment because your brain believes embarrassment might be a threat and lunch is not."
That moment helped the young man understand something important. The problem was not that he failed. The problem was that his brain stored the negative moment more strongly than the positive ones, just like it was designed to do. This happens because negative experiences are stored more deeply in the brain. There is a small structure inside your brain called the amygdala. Think of it like the brain's alarm system. Whenever something emotional happens, especially something negative, this alarm system becomes very active. And when the amygdala becomes active, the brain stores that memory more strongly. That is why negative experiences feel so vivid. Your brain is marking them as important for survival. But there is another reason negative thoughts stay with us. Your brain believes remembering negative experiences will help you avoid future pain. Imagine a child touching a hot stove for the first first time. The pain teaches the child something powerful. Don't touch that again. The brain remembers the pain so the mistake is not repeated. In the same way, when you experience embarrassment, rejection, or failure, your brain records it carefully, not to torture you, but to prevent it from happening again. This is why you might remember a mistake you made years ago. Your brain keeps it in storage like a warning sign.
Be careful next time. But sometimes this system works too well. Instead of learning from the experience and moving on, the mind keeps replaying it again and again. And this leads to something psychologists call a negative thought loop. Here's how it works. A negative thought appears in your mind. Maybe you remember something embarrassing. That thought creates stress in the body. When the body feels stress, it releases a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol makes your brain more sensitive to danger. So now your mind starts looking for more negative thoughts, and suddenly you remember something else. Another mistake, another awkward moment, another worry. One negative thought leads to another, and before you realize it, your mind is filled with negativity. This is why sometimes you may ask yourself, why do I keep thinking about this? Why can't I just let it go? It's not because you are weak, and it's not because something is wrong with you. It is simply your brain running an old survival program. But here's the good news. Just as the brain can build negative loops, it can also build positive ones. The human brain has an incredible ability called neuroplasticity. This means your brain can change its patterns through repetition. In simple words, what you focus on repeatedly becomes stronger in your mind. If you keep replaying negative thoughts, those pathways become stronger. But if you intentionally start noticing positive experiences, your brain slowly begins to change. At first, it feels unnatural because the brain is used to scanning for problems. But with practice, something beautiful begins to happen. You start remembering good moments more easily. You start letting go of small mistakes faster, and the mind becomes calmer. So the next time your brain reminds you of something embarrassing from the past, pause for a moment and remind yourself, my brain is trying to protect me. It's not trying to make me miserable. It's simply doing what it was designed to do. But now that you understand this mechanism, you don't have to follow every negative thought. You can gently redirect your attention towards something good, something meaningful, something peaceful. Because your brain may be wired to detect danger, but with awareness, patience, and practice, you can train it to notice the good things in life as well. And when that happens, your mind slowly becomes a kinder place to live.